It's the summer break, and despite the absence of races for the next few weeks, we'll be well entertained because another round of musical chairs has begun among the F1 drivers. We can't be certain that it'll be as exciting as last year, but the rumour mill has begun working overtime, and there's current word on Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, and several others. What's happening with these drivers, and who's going where? Watch to the very end to get all the juicy details. Last year's silly season was very exciting because each day came with a different surprise. And no one, not even the teams, knew what to expect. It all started with Sebastian Vettel's announcement on Instagram. The very private driver had taken the world by surprise when he created an Instagram account. Everyone suspected that something was amiss, but they didn't have to speculate for long, as he uploaded a video announcing his departure from Formula 1 just a few hours later. Several fans were not pleased with the news, but little did they know that a string of events was about to happen on the F1 grid. Shortly after Vettel's announcement, Fernando Alonso came to announce in his usual manner that he'd be leaving Alpine for Aston Martin. The team had not expected the news, and they were quite shocked by the move, but they weren't too worried because they had an excellent driver in reserve. Or so they thought. Oscar Piastri had been a driver at Alpine's academy, and with his incredible performance in Formula 2 and Formula 3, it was an unspoken agreement that he'd be making his debut in Formula 1 with Alpine. So, after Alonso's announcement, Alpine went ahead to announce Oscar Piastri as the replacement. But everything went topsy-turvy when Piastri went to his Twitter to announce that he didn't sign a contract with Alpine for 2023 and went ahead to sign an agreement with McLaren. That was the beginning of a series of other events on the grid. Nico Hülkenberg became one of Haas's drivers, Logan Sargent was given a seat at Williams, and Nick de Vries finally got a seat with AlphaTauri after several years of being in the background. Although that turned out to be a huge mistake. Now this year's silly season is upon us, and we can't wait to know who is going where. Right now, lots of speculation is going around, and it seems like a lot of interesting things are about to happen on the F1 grid. And we'll start with the team currently leading the grid. Since Daniel Ricciardo joined Red Bull as the third driver, it's been going around that it's only a matter of time for the Aussie driver to displace Sergio Perez from the second seat in Red Bull. But Nick de Vries was the one who got booted out of AlphaTauri after spending just a few months, and Ricciardo got the seat. Despite that, there's still a possibility Ricciardo will be getting the Red Bull seat, because to many, the AlphaTauri seat is a form of training to ease him back into the competitiveness of the grid. Although Helmut Marko and Christian Horner have constantly stated that Sergio would have his seat till his contract expires, the Mexican driver is currently under pressure because he's a bit behind in performance levels, and based on what happened with de Vries, nobody is actually safe once there's a replacement available. As for Haas driver Nico Hülkenberg, his one-year contract is set to expire and an extension agreement is yet to be signed. Although the team seems keen on retaining the German driver, there's a high chance he'd move once he gets a better offer. Since he returned to the grid this season, his performance has been quite impressive, even better than his teammate Kevin Magnussen, who was Haas's star driver. So this has definitely attracted other teams. But what has really got the grid rumbling is the fact that the German driver was seen entering the Red Bull team's hospitality at the Belgian Grand Prix. And if we connect the dots, we could say Nico could be in talks with Red Bull regarding an AlphaTauri seat, then Ricciardo will replace Perez at Red Bull. Well, we'll see how it all turns out. For the Scuderia Ferrari team, there's news that Charles Leclerc has signed a 2-year extension with the option of a 3rd year. This is certainly not a surprise, because the Ferrari team would do anything to tie the Monegasque driver down, especially with the rumours about him considering moving to Mercedes once Hamilton retires, or the Red Bull team. All these speculations are due to the challenges Leclerc has faced as a Ferrari driver, from the powertrain issues of the 2020 and 2022 seasons, to the crazy strategic mistakes, driver errors and reliability issues of the 2022 season, which took him out of the race for the championship title, has been quite a lot. However, based on the new contract, Leclerc is not quite ready to make a move. As for Leclerc's teammate, Carlos Sainz, he is yet to sign a deal with the team, but there's a high chance he'll be getting the same 2 or 3 year deal. However, there have been rumours that the Spanish driver intends to move to Audi in 2026, when the German manufacturer joins the grid with Sauber. But quite recently, Sainz put down rumours by saying that he is not in talk with anyone else. But I know by fact that right now, I'm not talking with anyone else that is not Ferrari. The Spanish driver might not be in talks with other teams, but his father, Carlos Sainz Sr., is definitely on the lookout for better offers. Unlike other drivers who are constantly on the lookout for greener pastures, Lance Stroll is a name that has hardly come up in contract discussions. This is due to his father being a major shareholder in Aston Martin, and the Aston Martin F1 team. However, his name has come up this season. Just recently, Sky Sports F1 commentator David Croft mentioned that the Aston Martin driver might be leaving the team soon. And not to another team, but out of Formula 1 in general. This might be because fans constantly demand his replacement, and although his performance at the beginning of the season was great, he has long fallen off. And based on Croft's statement, the driver might have lost his passion. I think he's lost his mojo. And whatever happened, Lance just doesn't seem to be as motivated now as he was at the start of the season. I do wonder, he's the one driver on the grid that you think, you're guaranteed a job as long as your dad is there. And we never actually talked about contracts for Lance Stroll. We never looked at his future elsewhere. But I just have a little feeling that in about a year and a half's time, Lance Stroll will race his last race in Formula 1 and go off and do something else. AlphaTauri driver Yuki Tsunoda might also have something coming for him in the coming years. Initially, it was thought that the Japanese driver would take up the Red Bull seat once Perez's contract had expired. But now, it seems things are going to be different. Since Honda announced that it will be partnering up with Aston Martin in 2026, there's a high possibility that Tsunoda will be joining the team, especially because a seat might open up when Stroll leaves. The Japanese also has strong ties with Honda, and it will definitely please them if he joins the team. McLaren should also appear itself ahead of the 2026 season, because it seems Lando Norris might have other plans. The Belgian-British driver has the second longest contract on the grid after Max Verstappen. He has been with McLaren since his debut in 2019, and his contract doesn't expire until the end of 2025. But rumour has it that he has signed a pre-contract with Ferrari ahead of the 2026 season. Both parties have not confirmed this news. In fact, Norris remains adamant that he doesn't have plans to leave McLaren anytime soon. But the great Oscar Piastri is not making such promises. The driver has earned a reputation as a bold rookie with the way he handled the whole Alpine incident in 2022. Besides that, his performance on the grid is also quite impressive. He is currently in the 11th position in the driver's standing with 34 points. With that, several teams are waiting to lure him away from McLaren once the opportunity arises. And one team that might want him as a driver is Red Bull. Red Bull only wants the best of the best driving their cars. So, they are on the lookout for drivers who show great promise. And since Piastri's debut season has been impressive so far, they'll definitely be looking at him as a replacement for Sergio Perez in 2025. However, nothing is official yet, and Piastri has revealed that he is happy where he is. It's flattering to hear those comments. I'm very happy where I am. But is he really? If Red Bull comes calling, would he say no? To round off this video, let's discuss what's going on with Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton. Since joining Mercedes in 2013, there has been no question about him remaining on the team. But recently, rumours started going around that the 7-time champion will be available for hire in 2024. The rumour has long been dismissed, but the only problem is that a new contract has not been signed by the British driver. The team principal, Toto Wolff, initially said that a new contract would be signed last winter. Then, in early June, he said that in a few days a new contract would be signed, but nothing happened. Presently, everyone thinks the British driver is afraid to sign a new deal due to all the struggles Mercedes has been facing since the regulation changes in 2022. That might be true, but all the 7-time champion has said is that he is waiting for his lawyers to iron out some details with Mercedes representatives before finally signing a deal. If that's truly the case, the two parties reach an agreement before the end of the season, and the team wouldn't have to worry about finding a replacement. So far, nothing is certain, but we can't wait to see how it all goes down. Kindly let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll see you in the next video.